Welcome back, friends! This is part 2 of our special 2024 CleriCon episodes. Today, we follow a brand new group as they arrive at the keep on the Borderlands, bent on claiming the reward for Oliver of Hom. This session was played on Sunday afternoon of the final day of CleriCon 2024. As these players were all new to the table, they got to choose from a selection of pre-generated characters. Though, in an exception, as all the pre-generated clerics had been claimed by previous players, the DM allowed one player to roll one up on the spot. So, without further ado, roll the opener, and let's have at it! As always, the action is recreated using the Order of the Stick Monster for Every Season cutout minis. A note to players, that the minis used in the recap may not reflect what we had at the table. Today's players! David as Hafnir, Neutral Fighter, Level 3. Steve as Valir the Holy, Lawful Cleric of Foltest, Level 3. Paul as Roderick, Lawful Paladin, Level 2.
Greetings, this is the Grumpy Old Slan, playing Adalar, Chaotic Helpful, 3rd level magic user.
This new group of mercenaries arrives at the keep on the Borderlands, hoping to track down Oliver of Hom. Gate guard Gren the Frowning reads them the riot act and gives them the 3rd degree, after which they pay their silver and are added to the keep census before being admitted inside. The whole session then takes a complete left turn as Adelard decides, in his wisdom, to cast Wizard Lock on the front gates. When Gren asks what he's done, he explains proudly that he's protecting the town with his magic, and that Gren can come get him to open the doors if need be. It's also suggested that a fee to open the door would be appropriate. Adelard says all of this with an oblivious smile on his face. Gren gets angry and has Adelard arrested after it's determined that he cannot actively remove the spell in its entirety, only open and close the gate. Hafnir moves to interpose to protect his friends. The others are bewildered, but then Roderick the Paladin talks of maneuvering behind the soldiers to get rear attacks. At which point the DM interjects for a little bit of guidance on Paladin behavior. With the course corrected, the game continues on. Valir does his best to defuse the conflict, but Adelard is ultimately arrested and led off. It is suggested by Gren that Valir speak with Josiah, the local curate of the Fulton Faith. Valir and Roderick then do indeed head to the church to speak with Josiah, while Hafnir goes to the Traveller's Inn to start mingling and recruiting. Valir and Roderick explain the situation to Josiah about the wizard lock. Here, DM Brainfart has Josiah agreeing to dispel magic on the gate in the morning, but in Old School Essentials, clerics don't have access to dispel magic as they do in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. So, in a little retcon, it's said that he consults with the Castellan and Phineas, Phineas being an elf and able to cast dispel magic. Hafnir has some luck in his search for extra muscle, and recruits a fighter named Davy based on a roll that leveled NPCs are present. Adelard is visited by the Castellan, Phineas, and Josiah. The Castellan, known properly as Dale of the Shire, explains that there are many people who wait a long time for an audience with him, and he ironically congratulates Adelard on his method of expediting the process. He tells Adelard that his friends are very persuasive, but that he will spend the night in the clink, and in the morning Phineas will attempt to dispel magic on the gate. If that fails, he will spend 2 days in prison for every day the gate is locked shut. He'd better hope the dispelling can remove it sooner rather than later. Adelard is also informed that his spellbook will be confiscated until such time as the Castellan feels that Adelard can use his spells responsibly. The next day, Phineas casts Dispel Magic, and the die is rolled. Adelard is in luck, as the dispelling works. Dale is true to his word, and Adelard is freed. But his book is not returned. Guards are assigned to watch him while he's in the keep, but he is otherwise free to move about, so he returns to his friends. Back on track, the group discusses rumors and information. As with the group from the previous session, each player got a rumor from the hat. The NPC Davy also knows some things about the taking of Lady Sylvia and Oliver of Hom. Hafnir asks about the lizard men, and Dale's refusal to allow campaigns against them. Davy knows of it, but not why. He explains that this is a mystery to everyone, including his own people. They speak of the Temple of Grumpsh, Bolg the Slaver, and how Oliver of Hom is connected to Bolg in some way. They decide that they should find the Temple of Grumpsh and go there, though no one knows where it is. Davy has never been, he only knows that it's in the region. They're told by a guard that a halfling named Mungo Chubb knows the location, but Mungo has gone to the town of Kleina. There is a brief consideration of going down to Kleina to find Mungo, but they abandon that notion and instead look to the old Watchtower on the map. Davy can lead them there, so they get their gear and head out late in the morning as noon approaches. Travel through the woods is uneventful, and they arrive at the massive clearing where the old Watchtower sits. Not wishing to be seen, they skirt the clearing under the cover of the tree line and circle around to the nearest point to the tower before moving forward. Approaching the ruined Watchtower, they immediately spot 4 dead orcs, the bodies lined up and looted. A quick search around finds the remains of a campfire and evidence that someone camped here the previous night. They ponder the meaning of it before deciding to move on after a further, albeit cursory, exploration that yields nothing. But where to? Examining the map, they decide that the Caves of Chaos might yield fruit and start the march in that direction. The group arrives at the western tip of the valley, which is elevated, allowing them to look down into the Valley of the Caves. As a point of interest, this differs from normal excursions, where typically the groups stay on the road for as long as possible and approach the caves from the east. From their vantage, they spot the cave, Cave F on the map, with an array of heads on spears and pikes. The Hobgoblin Cave, as many of our regulars know. But this group isn't privy to that information. The group cautiously moves up to examine them. Adelard is scanning around and notices movement from another cave, at the lowest elevation on the western slope. A large, bear-like creature with an angular face and beak lazily ambles out, sniffing the air. Recognizing an owlbear when they see one, they all pile into the cave entrance so as not to draw its attention. Before them is a metal door with a metal gear in the upper corner, and there are rows of skulls lining shelves on either side. Villiers announces that he's searching along one of the rows of skulls, while Hafnir opts to turn the gear, which rings a bell on the other side. Realizing this may bring out trouble, they prepare to back out of the cave. Adelard checks for the owlbear, but it's nowhere to be seen. After waiting a while outside, nothing happens. So Hafnir plays UPS and rings the bell again, then runs back to hide. Nothing. It suggested to Adelard that he uses magic to wizard lock the door, but because his spellbook was confiscated, he wasn't able to rememorize the spell. Consequences. Adelard enters the cave, pulls out some chalk, and starts making random arcane symbols on and around the door. As with the encounter a few days prior, the hobgoblins sneak out of a distant cave, armed with crossbows. There is no surprise, so the group tries to rush back into the cave for cover, but loses initiative, so there's a volley of bolts. Fortune is with them, and none strike. Huddled in the cave entrance, they plan their next move. Roderick and Hafnir move to use the cover of the cave mouth to return fire. They see more hobgoblins emerge from the cave and form a shield wall. Missiles are exchanged. Roderick takes a hit, but they kill 2 hobgoblins. As they are engaging the hobgoblin formation, the metal door opens, revealing several hobgoblins with spears in front, and a second row with polearms. These wait for the group to advance. Davy and Villiers move up to engage in melee. Adelard attempts to blind one with a spell of light, but the hobgoblin makes the save. Blows are exchanged. Davy kills one of the hobgoblins. The melee continues. Davy is killed. Roderick grabs his own polearm from their mule and joins the fray while Hafnir moves to replace Davy on the front line with his sword and shield. This small group of warriors is fierce, and they repel the hobgoblins, though they do take some licks. Adelard attempts to charm one, but the hobgoblin again makes the save. Hobgoblin morale breaks, and the polearm wielders retreat. Outside on the field, the crossbowmen and shield formation have moved closer. War horns blare from deeper in the corridors, and the team decides that it's time to depart. Hafnir, bloodthirsty, decides to charge one of the fleeing hobgoblins to get another kill before they leave, then joins everyone for a sprint out of the valley. A volley of crossbow fire comes their way, and despite Hafnir taking an injury, no one else is killed as they flee the valley, returning to the keep. Gren the Frowning makes a somewhat disappointed comment about Adelard having survived, but nonetheless lets them in. The session then concludes. And with that, Session 2 of CleriCon 2024 concludes, my friends. Ha! And what a chaotic one! Truly the epitome of emergent play. Grumpy Old Slan, playing a chaotic magic user with a low wisdom, really leaned into it with that wonderful choice to kick things off. It took the whole thing into a fun and unexpected direction, one with consequences that will change protocols within the keep regarding magic going forward. How many rules in society are made because of one person doing something? As with group number 1, this group was given a task: defeat Oliver of Hom. Pre-generated characters were available, and none of the players here were carryovers from last year. Everyone got a rumor from the rumor hat, and the DM gave them the spiel about how this was an open-world concept, and they wouldn't be railroaded through a plot. They were in the driver's seat, and failure was on the table. Of course, the task was almost immediately abandoned, and the group lost a little time due to Adelard's shenanigans. But that's part of the fun of emergent style. Slan has asked me to convey his gratitude to his fellow players for being good sports about his shenanigans. But, to be fair to Slan, he didn't quite know at the time that wizard spells couldn't just be cancelled by the wizard. Regarding the interpretation of magic here, I feel it's worth mentioning that this isn't necessarily a hard and fast D&D rule as much as the DM's interpretation of things. Many DMs feel and play that magic users can simply cancel their own continuing spells at will. The DM here doesn't hold to that, however, rather going with the notion that spells have a specified duration, and once the magic is out there, it's fixed. Only a dispel magic can remove a lasting effect, unless the spell offers specific provisions for a caster being able to cancel it. It's not a commentary on what's better protocol as much as a preference of play. I found it interesting that this group almost followed the same trajectory as group number 1. They gleaned that the Temple of Grumpsh might yield answers, but unlike group number 1, had no clue where it was. Deciding to head to the Watchtower created an unexpected overlap that the DM had to deal with. The timing between the two groups. As this is a shared continuity, this had to be considered. This group, being one day behind the others, meant the overlap actually fit into the narrative without any issue. Team number 1 went out, spent the day setting a trap, had their men fight, then went to the Watchtower where they killed the 4 orcs, and spent the night at the Watchtower. They had the dragon encounter and went back to the keep. This group arrives, spends the night at the keep, heads out in the morning, arrives at the Watchtower after the events with the dragon, sees the 4 orcs and evidence of a camp, then moves on. The decision to head to the Watchtower allowed for this overlap, and the players here, not being aware of what transpired with the other group, had no idea what to make of it. A neat little red herring based on player actions. Also of note here was how the group randomly decided that going to the Caves of Chaos was something they wanted to do, and attacking the hobgoblins. The battle went as hobgoblin battles at that cave entrance tend to, with the hobgoblins sneaking out from the former goblin cave. Is that information future excursions can use? Will the hobgoblins change up their own tactics, especially now that there have been multiple attempts? From their perspective, all they know is that some humans, likely from the keep, are attempting to get into their lair. How will this shake up the status quo? Time will tell. CleriCon itself was once again an absolute treat. The opening feast was delicious, and I got to meet some new people, as well as meet online friends in person for the first time. Bill from Paint Minis Live has set up an affiliate program for his company, which we have joined. I will do a proper dedicated video talking about that in the near future, but in the meantime, check out his site via our affiliate links in the description to help both of our channels grow. I also got to play in a chainmail skirmish game hosted by Daniel from Bandit's Keep. Being wholly unfamiliar with the nuances of the system, I managed to get butchered 4 times in rapid succession. A war general I am not, but a good time was had nonetheless. And so, another CleriCon comes to a close. Father Aaron, is there going to be a CleriCon 2025? And if so, what are the dates? Inquiring minds want to know.
What? Oh, hello. CleriCon 20, October 24th, 25th, and 26th. October 24th, 25th, and 26th, yes, of 2025. That's right. The registration information will come out later. You know, watch this space. Or watch my space. Mage will probably talk about it too.
Thank you to all of the players who came to the Mage's Musings CleriCon 2024 tables. I hope you had a good time, and I hope to see you back soon. And of course, a very special thank you to all of my channel members and regular viewers who keep my silly little show alive. New episodes are coming, and I shall see you anon.